Looking for something fun to do in Syracuse this week, here are 23 events going on that I think you would love no matter what your vibe is. On Wednesday, November 12th, the Syracuse Jewish Film Festival is back, and this week they're showing Midas Man at the JCC of Syracuse. On November 13th, the CNY Real Estate Conference is being held at Destiny USA. Also on November 13th, there is a board game night being hosted at the Everson. Also on November 13th, to get into the holiday spirit, there's going to be a wreath making class, and that's going to be held at the Beaver Lake Nature Center. Also on November 13th, all day long, there are $6 espresso martinis at Salt City Bar. Also an amazing deal. From November 13th to November 16th, there's an overnight weekend quilting retreat, and that's going to be held at the Oneida Community Mansion House. On November 14th, Oswego is hosting their annual Empty Bowls fundraiser, and that's going to be at SUNY Oswego. Also on November 14th, my friend Marissa over at Rose & Co. is doing her anniversary event, and that's going to be held at Plaza downtown. There's going to be a ton of giveaways, she's doing permanent jewelry, there's going to be food and drinks. It's just going to be like the most fun little evening downtown. Also on November 14th, my lovely friends over at Pink Bronco are hosting a happy hour and a yoga session, and that's going to be held at the Emerson. Also on November 14th, the Rosamond Gifford Zoo is doing their annual Friendsgiving dinner, and I will say, for a zoo, and honestly just for like a restaurant in general, the food at the zoo is pretty good. Also very important to note that that event is strictly 21 and up. Also on November 14th, y'all already know the drill, everything happens in Syracuse on Friday and Saturday, but Upstate University is doing their annual fall concert, and that's going to be held at the Community Folk Arts Center. Also on November 14th, the Syracuse Crunch has a game versus the Hershey Bears, and that's going to be at the Upstate Medical Arena at the Oncenter. And then also November 14th, AKA is having their annual fundraiser, and this year's theme is denim, diamonds, and pearls, so deck yourself out in full denim and diamonds, and that's going to be held at the Palladium downtown. The morning of November 15th, there's going to be a car seat safety check, so you can bring your car seat in, bring your car in, and they have professionals that'll be there to show you how to properly install your car seat and properly have your baby sitting in said car seat in your car, and that's going to be at the skate park parking lot at Onondaga Lake Park. Also on November 15th, there's going to be a needle felting workshop, and you can make a cute little penguin, and that's going to be held at Carpenter's Barn in Cazenovia. In the early afternoon of November 15th, there's going to be the first annual Queer All Year Market, and the whole purpose of the market is to highlight different queer vendors, artists, and makers, and that's going to be in the community room at Salt City Market. Also on November 15th, there's going to be a clay workshop held at the Everson, where you can learn how to make trays, trivets, and trinket dishes. On November 15th, the Rosamond Gifford Zoo is doing their annual Art Gone Wild charity auction. If you ever wanted a piece of art painted by one of the animals at the zoo, now is your time to get one. Also on the evening of November 15th, the Syracuse Crunch is playing the Belleville Senators, and it just so happens to also be hockey romance night for the Syracuse Crunch. There's gonna be a book fair, book signings, so much fun like hockey romance stuff, and I also bought a ticket to go, so it's just going to be a really great night. Also on November 15th, the Syracuse Orchestra is presenting Elgar Enigma Variations, and that's going to be at the Krause-Heinz Theater at the